the first story. Curse Cove Lake. In the heart of a remote forest, shrouded in mist and surrounded by eerie silence, lay a place known to the locals as Curse Cove Lake. The legends whispered that the lake was a creation of ancient spirits, its very waters holding a malevolent power that had been slumbering for centuries. The lake's shores were littered with twisted trees, their branches contorted into unnatural shapes that seemed to reach out to the sky in desperate agony. No one dared venture near the lake after sundown, for the tales of those who disappeared under the veil of darkness were enough to chill even the bravest souls. One fateful evening, a group of adventurous friends decided to challenge the stories. They were young and foolish, believing that they could conquer any fear. Armed with flashlights, camping gear, and a dismissive attitude towards local legends, they set out on a journey that would forever change their lives. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to dance with the trees, the group arrived at the shores of Curse Cove Lake. The water shimmered with an otherworldly luminescence, reflecting the pale moonlight in a way that felt unsettling. Undeterred, the friends set up camp, their nervous laughter attempting to mask the unease that began to settle over them. As the night deepened, a sense of foreboding grew stronger. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it an indistinct murmur that played tricks on their minds. Their flashlights flickered, casting fleeting glimpses of grotesque shapes in the shadows, shapes that seemed to vanish whenever they turned to face them directly. Around the dying embers of their campfire, they shared stories to lighten the atmosphere, but even the warmth of the flames couldn't chase away the chill that gnawed at their bones. One by one, they felt the weight of an unseen gaze upon them, an oppressive sensation that stifled their laughter and stole their courage. As the clock struck midnight, a distant and mournful howl echoed through the trees. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their bravado replaced by a shared terror that bound them together. It was then that they noticed the water of the lake beginning to ripple, as though stirred by some invisible force. Panic set in, and they scrambled to pack their belongings, ready to flee the cursed place. But as they turned to leave, they realized with a growing dread that they were not alone. Figures, dark and shadowy, emerged from the surrounding woods. They moved with an unnatural fluidity, their eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light. The friends stumbled back, their flashlights shaking as they desperately tried to illuminate the approaching figures. Amidst the chaos, a voice echoed in their minds, a haunting whisper that seemed to come from all directions. It spoke of ancient grievances, of promises unkept, and of the long-forgotten power that lay dormant beneath the lake's surface. The friends were frozen in place, their bodies betraying them as if held by an invisible hand. One by one, the figures drew closer, their touch icy and suffocating. And then, in a blinding flash of light, the world seemed to warp and twist around them. The figures advanced, their fingers grazing the skin of the trapped friends, and one by one, the adventurers vanished, consumed by the very malevolence they had dared to challenge. From that night on, the legends of Curse Cove Lake grew stronger. Whispers of the vanished group spread throughout the region, a haunting reminder of the lake's ancient power. The forest around the lake grew thicker, the mist denser, as if nature itself sought to veil the cursed place from prying eyes. And so, Curse Cove Lake remained a forbidden and feared location where the waters held the secrets of lost souls and the trees bore witness to the folly of those who dared to test the boundary between the living and the supernatural. Second story. Whispers at the camp. The rain poured down in relentless sheets, hammering against the canvas of the tents like 1,000 unseen fingers. The night was dark, and the only source of light came from the feeble glow of flashlights held by a group of friends who had embarked on what was meant to be a thrilling camping adventure. Maria, Lisa, Alice, and Mike had been friends since childhood. They were all adventurous souls, seeking out the adrenaline rush that only the wild outdoors could provide. This rainy night, however, was quickly turning their excitement into unease. As the group huddled around a flickering campfire, the rain seemed to amplify the silence of the forest around them. The trees loomed like shadowy giants, their branches swaying ominously in the wind. The occasional rustle of leaves or snap of a twig sent shivers down their spines, reminding them that they were not alone. "Did anyone hear that?" Lisa whispered, her voice barely audible over the rain. "Probably just an animal," Mike replied, trying to sound reassuring. But even he couldn't hide the hint of doubt in his voice. As the night wore on, their laughter and chatter gradually subsided, replaced by a tense silence. The rain showed no sign of letting up, and their once cozy campsite now felt like a vulnerable island surrounded by a sea of darkness. "We should have checked the weather forecast more thoroughly," Alice muttered, her flashlight beam scanning the area as if searching for answers in the gloom. The group's tent were set up a short distance from the campfire. The rain drummed on their rainflies like an eerie lullaby, making it difficult for them to focus on anything else. Uneasy glances were exchanged, and the atmosphere grew increasingly suffocating. Suddenly, from somewhere in the forest, came a faint sound. It was a whisper, carried on the wind, barely distinguishable from the patter of raindrops. "Did you guys hear that?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling. Everyone fell silent, straining their ears to listen. And then, they heard it again, whispers, distant and unintelligible, yet undeniably human. "It's probably just our imagination," Mike said, though the uncertainty in his eyes betrayed his bravado. But the whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if a group of people was gathering just beyond the edge of their campsite. Fear clenched their hearts as they realized that the voices weren't in their heads, they were real, and they were getting closer. "We need to leave. Now!" Lisa's voice trembled with panic as she scrambled to her feet, grabbing her backpack. The others didn't need any convincing. In a frenzy, they tore down their tents, abandoning their campfire and belongings. The rain-soaked ground made each step a struggle, and the forest seemed to close in around them, the trees twisting and warping in the dim light. As they stumbled through the undergrowth, the whispers seemed to surround them, echoing in every direction. The friends were now running, slipping on the wet leaves, driven by an instinctual terror they couldn't comprehend. It felt like an eternity before they burst into a clearing, gasping for breath. The rain had eased up slightly, and the moonlight broke through the clouds, casting an eerie glow over the scene. But their relief was short-lived. In the clearing stood a circle of figures, their faces obscured by shadows. The whispers had transformed into a low, guttural chant that sent a chill down their spines. "What do you want?" Alice shouted, her voice wavering. The figures remained silent, their presence suffocating. And then, as if responding to an unseen command, they started to advance, step by agonizing step. Driven by pure terror, the friends turned and fled in the opposite direction, crashing through the underbrush, their hearts pounding in their chests. They didn't stop until they reached the edge of the forest, breathless and disoriented. As the first light of dawn broke, they found themselves on a deserted road with a vehicle approaching in the distance, far from their abandoned campsite. The forest loomed behind them, and they exchanged haunted glances, knowing that they had narrowly escaped something inexplicable and malevolent. Years later, now much older, Mike still struggled to find the right words to describe that night. The memory of the whispers in the rain haunted their dreams, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are better left untouched, and that the darkness of the night can reveal secrets that are best kept hidden. If you enjoyed this story, please give a like and subscribe for more haunting stories. And remember, you never know what might be standing behind you watching your every move.